everyone, this is International Master Piotr Quinn, and I will be bringing you some interesting positions which happened during the last game. Some nice sacrifices, some blunders, and whatever got my attention. So here is the game between Maria Florencia Fernandez and Bibisara Asaubayeva. And here the engine says the position is equal. And the pawn on b2 is a little bit weak. I mean, it's actually under the attack, although maybe not really hanging, because if black takes, we can exchange and rook b1 will pick up the pawn on b7. But what should white do? I mean, white still decided to play just rook b1 just to cover the pawn on b2, and that was a fatal mistake, because now black is close to be winning. And maybe you can think for a few seconds and find what black did here. So, yesterday I was talking about loose pieces. I mean, at the moment, everything is protected. However, there are some weaknesses. Some pieces can be overloaded. And now, black played g5. Well, the point is that if you take bishop takes g5, there is rook takes. Actually, the pawn is protected, so actually knight takes g5 is good enough, although rook e2 also is an idea here. But yeah, the pawn is protected here. So after g5, white has to retreat, bishop e3. And then what to play? Black continues to push the pawns with f4. And now if g takes f4, which was played in the game, g takes f4, bishop takes f4, and then rook takes e2. So we can see how the queen is overloaded, because queen cannot protect both bishops. So the queen takes on e2, queen takes on f4, and black won two minor pieces for the rook. So with a very nice material advantage and very nice pieces, because sometimes two minor pieces are not that strong, but here we can see black's pieces have those squares like d4, e5, so the pieces are dominating, and yeah, black won that game. So we can go back to this position and realize that white should have played the move bishop d3. And if you haven't seen this idea of g5 and f4, it would be very difficult to explain why bishop d3 is a good move. But once we see what is the threat, if you think about prophylaxis, then we can find the best moves, which at first sight might not be that easy to find. And as I said, like queen takes b2 wouldn't be that much of a problem, because we can just take, bishop takes rook b1, and the pawn on b7 is falling. So maybe black is still slightly for choice, but yeah, it's not a lost position for white by any means. Let's go to some other position, and that was very interesting game. Maria Muzychuk against Monika Sochko, and Monika was playing very, very well in that game. She had a very big advantage. Of course, still it's not completely winning, the game still continues, but she is currently a pawn up, and the knight is pretty good here. I mean, the knight is attacking the pawn on h3, and yeah, this is a winning endgame if we just trade, for example, queens. But white played queen e5 check, and black needs to do something about this. And Monika didn't want to move her queen, because queen f6, for example, parries all the threats. But she still wanted to keep her queen on f3, because it looks like the queen is nicely placed here, because the queen attacks the bishop on b3, also the pawn on h3 is under attack, so it looks all very, very good. However, queen f6 was called for. Of course, you could, I mean, okay, king g8, queen g5, yeah, I'm not so sure about this exchange. Black may be winning, but those queen endgames are always tricky. So I think the safest was queen f6, as I was showing. And okay, still the game continues, black should be winning in a long run. But what Monika did, she played f6. It feels like her king is quite secure, especially that the knight is around, and the queen, as I said, is attacking the bishop, the pawn on h3 is hanging, it all looks good, but f6 was actually a fatal mistake, which completely, changes the whole evaluation. Black, instead of be technically winning, she is now losing by force. So now queen e7 check came, and king h6, queen f8 check, king h7, and then bishop into g8. Yeah, and black's king is mated here. Bishop d5, king h7, queen g8 was played. Yeah, king h6, queen h8. Actually, there's no mate, but the queen is for free. Yeah, because the knight can still protect, but yeah, but the queen is falling, so maybe instead of those last checks, she could have taken the queen, but one way or the other, white won the game, and very, very sad loss for Monika Sochko, who played, as I said, really well in some previous moves. You can look it up by yourself. It was a nice game, but I was just showing that this final moments, that instead of playing queen f6, keeping it safe, I think also for some rapid and blitz chess, my recommendation, my tip for all the players, no matter if you are strong or weak, I mean, just try to keep everything under control. Like, avoid too much risk if it's not necessary. And here I feel like maybe Monika just did not sense the danger. She just felt like, oh, everything is fine, played f6, got mated. Happens, but yeah, she lost the game. Alright, so let's see more positions. And this one I really, really like, but it wasn't easy to understand this at first. Because black played rook e5. What can be wrong with this move? I mean, just rooks is well placed here, central square. If it's taken, the d takes e5. Everything looks normal here. I mean, rook e5 looks normal. The position is a bit messy. The bishop on a4 is out of the play. Black's king is a bit weak. But would you really think that white is just completely winning here? I just wasn't so sure when I looked at this for the first time. I just looked like, okay, white is better, but what's the deal? And then came rook e4. And all of a sudden, after rook e4, there is this deadly threat, for example, of rook e to h4, and then delivering some checks, winning queen or giving mates. And yeah, it's just very difficult for black to defend here. It's just not easy to find a move here. And after rook takes e4, then came queen takes e4, and white is just breaking through. Because, okay, first of all, the pawn on g6 is hanging, so how do we defend this? Rook takes f6 was played, but then queen takes d4, and the queen is attacking the rook, and the queen is maybe not attacking immediately the bishop because the bishop is protected, but black is completely overloaded here. Because, well, how do you defend the rook? You cannot move this rook because then the other, white rook will just go down the h-file to h8, giving a nasty check, and yeah, then win something, queen or let's maybe just see where do we even put this rook. Let's say to f8, then rook h8 coming, king f7, rook h7, we win the queen. I hope you've seen this easy line. So yeah, the rook cannot move really. If the king moves, like king f7, then we have rook h7, that's easy. If the king moves here to g7, we have at least some knight e4, but queen h4 is, yeah, just even stronger because the queen will go down the h-file. Black just cannot put any piece here, to stop queen coming down the h-file. So, yeah, it's amazing that because of this bishop on a4, if this bishop was, I don't know, somewhere else, maybe on e8, black would be maybe slightly worse, but not a big deal. But here it just completely lost, and I was really amazed to see this. So now after queen f7 was played in the game, but then actually not queen a4, because then rook takes f2 check, it wouldn't be so clear. Knight e4 first, attacking the rook on f4, protecting the pawn on f2, that's the point. King g7 was played because, again, rook couldn't move because there was rook h8, and now, yeah, knight takes f6, queen takes f6. Yeah, the bishop's hanging on a4, but she didn't even take that bishop on a4. She just played rook h7, lovely, lovely move, because after king h7, queen f6, that's it. Okay, So one more position. Now from the open section, because again I was showing from the women's section. So here black played queen c6. I mean the queen was attacked and it looked normal. I mean because queen d8, which is objectively the best, just looked too passive. But queen c6 looked nice positionally. But always we have a positional play and a tactical play. And here, here black missed something. I missed a very nice shot. So maybe you can think for a few seconds, what did black miss here? And what white found here? Very, very nice move. What was the problem with the queen on c6? Because as I said, I mean, the queen is a little bit, I mean, maybe a little bit, can be vulnerable, and it will be actually, but it looks more natural than queen d8, where the queen would be just passive here. But there came very nice shot. Knight takes b5. Nice geometry of the chessboard, and I was yesterday also talking about this geometry, because we need to look for those, connections between the pieces. And now after a takes b5, bishop takes b5, you see what to do. I mean, queen takes b5, obviously, we have a royal fork, knight c7, although, again, I don't think that's important that the rook is hanging, since there's the queen and king under the attack, the double attack, even a triple attack. But as I said, the rook doesn't matter here. So obviously this cannot be taken. But if it cannot be taken, where this queen should go? Black still tried rook a2. The point is that there is a threat of mate, but it can be easily parried here. Like after c3, the king has the escape square, and now after queen d6, well, bishop f4, maybe not the only move, there are many ways. Bishop e5 just takes, and you see there's too much pressure down the d file and the spin. So knight b6 came, and the game still continued, but that's completely winning, as this knight on d7 is just completely dead. So that's it. I hope you found this examples very instructive, and the next game is about to start. So let's get back to the main studio with Katie and Lawrence.
Hello everybody and welcome back. This is day 2 of the World Rapid Championships. We have got the second round of the day, which is round 7 of the tournament, and we have got an absolutely, well, one of the most, I would say, explosive pairings, and a pairing we're going to get a lot over the next 10 years. That is, Magnus Carlsen is paired white against Alireza Firouzja.